this meeting to order. Please rise for a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take a moment of silence to remember the service and sacrifices of the armed service members who protect our nation and the first responders who protect our neighborhoods. Before we take the roll call, I received the email earlier today from the clerk about Miss Abramson, and I wanted to take a vote on her absence tonight, and I want to ask Miss Seeger to let us know. She may have heard from Miss Abramson what she had heard.
Yes, I heard from an email from Miss Abrahamson, and she sent me a doctor's note for her excuse tonight. I asked her if I could share it with the council, and she said she would like it not to be because it's confidentiality.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to excuse Miss Abramson's absence for her doctor's note and to let her call into the meeting tonight.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Jednak?
Abstain.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Council President Sackett?
Yes. We have 7 yeses, one abstention. Motion carries. Could we take a second to call Ms. Abramson, please?
Hi, hold on 1 second. I'm going to put you on speaker. Can you hear me? Patty, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear that first, but it was my user error.
Okay, please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
Here.
Councilmember Jednak?
Here.
Councilmember Quinn?
Here.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Here.
Councilmember Noon?
Here.
Councilmember Kelly?
Here.
Vice President Jackson?
Here.
President Sackett?
Here. This meeting was advertised in the Daily Record and Star Ledger, the official newspaper for the Township of Rockaway, on September 14, 2019. Notice was posted on the official bulletin boards of Rockaway Township.
Council President, may I be recognized?
Yes.
Just a quick question for Mr. Perrone. Mr. Perrone, with the participation of Ms. Abrahamson and her attendance by phone, is there any violations at all of that taking place?
It's a participation by phone.
Her attendance and participation by phone, is that legal?
Attendance, it's not an attendance, it's a participation. Her attendance has been excused.
Is it legal for her to participate and attend by phone?
It's legal for her to participate by phone, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
You got it.
He's trying to trick me.
No, I wasn't.
Council President, I'd like to make a motion. My motion is simple. I ask that our council do not excuse Mr. Jeniak for his failure to attend the council meetings from June 11th through September 9th. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion, Council President?
Any particular reason on that? Any support?
Yes, we didn't get any excuses from him. It was asked by the council president and the mayor. He did not respond with an excuse why he was away, why he didn't attend. He just sent in small verbiage, which we all got, as part of our attorney package.
Okay, any other discussion?
Council
I do.
President, may I
Mr. Kelly?
have some discussion
One
on
second, we have Mr. Kelly.
I would waive my time for Mrs. Abrahamson. I'll take it afterwards.
Okay, Ms. Abramson?
This was from what date?
He said June 11th to September 9th, 2019.
11th to September 9th.
Correct.
29th. And who was the presiding officer of those meetings then? The presiding president?
I don't have the minutes in front of me. I'm assuming to be Mr. Kelly, but I don't know if he was there that night. I'm not positive. I don't remember.
So this is going back to June to September when a different council president was there and all of us were in attendance. Is that correct?
I don't think we all were in attendance. I disagree on that.
Okay, well, most of us, or whoever has been, we approved those minutes that were taken for those, most of that period up to including the minutes on today's agenda. So,
Okay.
the minutes were approved up till the September 3rd agenda, is that correct?
No.
Or July 30th, I apologize. July 30th and then September 10th. So, we've already approved the minutes where Mr. Dednack had been present by telecommunication and participated and voted, is that correct?
I'm not sure what this has to do with the motion, so let's, anything else to add?
No, I just think it's, we're going backwards.
Okay.
That never has been
Okay.
done before.
Okay.
And I see that we have the July 30th till September 10th. So, these minutes were already approved, they were voted on, and he was participating, and his roll call was taken, so I feel like it's a moot motion, and quite frivolous at that.
Okay. Mr. Kelly, anything else to add?
I do, actually. It's not to add to what Mrs. Abrahamson had stated. Just had a couple of questions. If you could just give me the courtesy and time,
Give you
I'll try to make it as quick as I can. Well, if I need an extension of time, I hope
Let me
that you
know.
can grant
Try to
that.
keep it short, 5 minutes.
Mr. Perone, Mr. Perone, we received an opinion from your firm, and I'm not going to go into the crux of the opinion as it's attorney-client privilege between the town attorney and this governing body and the mayor. But the cases that were cited in your opinion, are those cases open to the public?
Are the cases?
Yeah, the cases that were cited, are they public record?
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I feel comfortable talking about those three cases, and I'll just go to a couple of points. When you have the Crivelli versus Francesca, and you also have the Levin versus Woodbine, and you also have Arecci versus Merlino, and if you want, I can cite the citations for that, or do you know the cases that I'm talking about?
I'm familiar with them.
In any of those cases, did any of those elected officials attend or participate by phone?
There's no such thing as attendance. You keep mixing attendance and participation.
No, I'm asking the question,
Okay,
it's just,
well, you say attend or participate by phone. There's no such thing.
did they participate by phone, Mr. Perone?
I'm not familiar with the fact that any of them participated by phone.
Did they attempt to participate by phone or attend by phone?
Those facts are not part of the case, Mr. Kelly. They may have participated by phone, but they're not part of the cases. I'm not, I didn't write the cases. I wasn't an attorney in the cases.
No, you cited the cases.
You're asking me to answer questions that are impossible to answer unless I was handling the cases.
Well, Mr. Perone, you're giving us an opinion based on those three cases in regards to this.
I'm giving you an opinion based on the law.
Well, the law, and you're actually supporting the law with those three cases that you
No, I'm not.
submitted.
No, I'm not.
You're not, okay.
No, what I'm doing with those three cases is I'm showing you how, with two of the cases, I'm showing you how to count.
No, I get it, from the
And then
first,
with one of the cases, I'm showing the constitutionality of the statute.
I get the
I'm
13
not
and the,
supporting the opinion with those cases in particular.
but it was a simple question.
But it's a legal question, it's a legal issue that should not be before the public.
But none of those participated by phone.
I don't know that.
Did any of them
Nor
vote?
do you.
Did any of them vote during
Nor
any of the
do you.
council meetings that between those 13 or 15 weeks, or the 10 days, or the 10 weeks?
I can't answer that.
Okay. But you did read those cases, though, to cite them in your opinion.
I read the cases, but the cases do not include those specifics.
Mr. Perone, what defines a meeting?
Mr. Kelly,
It's just a simple question.
a quorum,
We have a
Majority of the
quorum,
council, a quorum defines a meeting.
right. Can a quorum also be achieved by electronic communication if properly noticed and be legal?
We've already been through that the last meeting.
It's just a simple question.
If everyone is on the phone, yes.
So it would have to be 9 members on the phone, not just 5 members?
Majority. That's a quorum, Mr. Kelly. You're asking me questions that are
5 is a
beyond
quorum.
the scope of what it is that we're discussing.
5 is a quorum, right? Of this governing body, 5 would be quorum?
Yeah.
So if 5 members were on a telephone in a properly noticed meeting, would it be a legal meeting to take place?
I can't answer that. I'd have to know all the other questions. I'd have to know all the other circumstances. No, I would probably be in violation of the OPMA.
If it was properly noticed?
I don't know. I'd have to see what the.
So all the open matters that we've
I'd have to see what
had,
the reason for the meeting was and what the excuses for not having an opening meeting was.
well, I think the statute
And it
under
has nothing
10-4,
to do with, the two statutes I told you at the last meeting have nothing to do with each other. The Open Public Meetings Act has no relation to the vacancy law.
well, it does though, because it talks about communication and
No, it doesn't.
participation by phone.
Mr. Kelly, I've given you a legal opinion, and I'm not going
Okay.
to answer any other questions.
The other question I have, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, I'm not going to ask it though for the record.
Well, if it's relevant, I'll answer it.
Okay, I appreciate that. In one of those cases that you cited in your opinion, it references the form of government that they have in one of those cited cases that you provided.
Levin, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and it was, the mayor had to attend in that
Right, I
case,
get it.
right?
I get it.
So in that particular instance, we are a mayor and council or a council and mayor plan? We're under the
It's
Faulkner
a
Act.
different plan from the plan in that case, correct?
Right, and what plan are we?
With the mayor-council.
Mayor and council? Now, the motion that we're having, that's Mr. Quinn has made and it was seconded, this is basically to remove a council member. Would that be accurate?
No. It's to whether or not to excuse the absences. Removal of a council member is statutory. It's automatic. If a council person violates his charge as an elected official and doesn't appear for meetings over a period of time, the statute deems that the seat is vacant. Okay? Not the council. The council only determines whether to excuse the absences.
Right. And in the sense of not excusing the absence or whatnot, it would be a removal of a elected official.
Excuse me?
If the excuses,
Whatever the result of the excuses is statutory. It's not the council's control.
but it would be the removal of a council person.
Maybe.
Okay. So,
I don't know what the vote's going to be.
no, but in Levin, how it was discussed with regard to the plans that we have, and in our form of plan, especially in the 4069A, 37B, we can't remove a governing body, a member of the governing body.
What?
And in your opinion,
No, the governing body, a person in the governing body, by the statutes, by the case law, removes themselves by their absence.
the opinion that you had written or participated in, you didn't mention anything about the Open Public Meeting Act under 10:4-6?
It's not relevant. I've told you that already.
Okay. You never mentioned anything about our form of government and our plan, which Levin had mentioned of. You didn't cite the municipal charter law. You didn't cite that particular case about removal of another council member, which this is all about.
Neither does NJSA 48:16-3 cite any of those different Faulkner Act forms,
You
because
know-
it doesn't matter what Faulkner Act form is implicated. The statute vacates seats in all forms.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it fails to mention that, right?
Doesn't fail to mention it.
It doesn't
What it
mention it.
does is it includes all Faulkner forms.
But when we have under
By
there,
not
like,
mentioning it purposely.
but under what you just cited under 48:16-3, and you're really going after on G, is what this is all premeditated to have
I'm not
tonight.
going after anything. I was asked for an opinion.
Okay.
And what I did was give an opinion, and that opinion was objective, and it was based on the statute, the language of the statute, and the law.
And I appreciate that you did your due diligence in researching all that information and providing that opinion.
Well, if you would have asked me ahead of time, months ago, I would have given you the same opinion.
Well, you know
Before
what?
we got to this position,
And
you never asked me anything about this statute of the vacancy law while all this was going on.
And you know what? I'm glad that
You
you
were the
said,
council
I'm
president.
glad that you said that, because you never mentioned anything about it either. Did you
me,
know about this all along?
Did I know about what?
Did you know,
I
did you
know
know
about the municipal vacancy.
48-16-3?
Actually, I became acquainted with it for the first time when Mike Thatcherson passed away.
Why didn't you address anything about it when you noticed that
It's
somebody was not?
for me to address.
So,
It's only for me to address after the issues that the statute creates are implicated.
so
In
rather
other
than,
words, it's nothing for me to address unless the 8 weeks passes, and after the 8 weeks passes, then it's something for me to address. Unless I'm asked specifically by someone on the council to undertake an investigation and/or to undertake statutory research in order to make a determination as to what the council or whoever it is needs to, or whatever way they need to act
yeah.
in order to comply with statutes.
So,
But I was never asked that by you. What you did was you just went forward, I have to say cavalierly, and said, okay, he can participate. Nobody was asked, nobody was provided with any information as to where Mr. Jednak was. No one was provided with an excuse as to why he wasn't in a meeting. No one was asked to vote. From what I understand, because I asked Ms. Clipperton that, you understand, I'm not at many of these meetings.
No, I know that. I know that you review it and everything like that, but
All right, let's finish this up.
I'm almost done. I'll wrap it up.
Went forward and allowed him
It was
to
just simple yes or no
participate,
questions. I didn't mean the
and
whole
these
dialogue
issues
going on.
arose after the actions that you took.
But Mr. Perone, at any time did you recommend to the council to, question that,
It's not.
make a vote?
What
It's-
I-
You as a
I'm
town
giving
attorney,
assignments. I'm
you as a town attorney, it's not your
giving assignments
responsibility.
from the township as a whole and from the mayor. I'm giving assignments from the township council as a whole and/or the mayor. Those are the assignments I'm given. I was asked by the mayor to give an opinion, and I did. You never asked me to give an opinion, the council never asked me to give an opinion. I'm giving an opinion that I was asked for.
And then lastly on that, Mr. Perone, under 40A-16-3, which you cited, and then we have G. In the portion of G, does it say that has to attend in person?
It says attend and participate.
Right.
That's
Mr.
what they call a conjunctive.
Did
Okay.
Mr. Janiak vote at any of those meetings?
He participated,
He did. And he didn't attend by phone?
did not attend.
He didn't
No,
attend
sir.
by phone?
The statute doesn't mention attendance by phone, Mr. Kelly. You've read it. Does it say it?
I read multiple
Well, you're
different,
asking all the questions. Does the statute mention attendance by phone?
it mentions nothing about attending in person.
Does it mention the phone at all?
It doesn't mention anything about being in person.
Does it mention anything about?
mentions nothing about being in person.
Does it mention anything about a phone?
Okay, let's
mentions
move on.
nothing about
Anybody
being in
else from the
person.
council?
You don't answer questions.
Anybody else?
See, I
Anybody else
answer
from the
questions,
council?
but you don't.
No, I am answering your question.
Where, do you see the word
I don't see anything in
telephone
there
the
about in
statute?
person
Do
or
you see
anything.
the word telephone in
It says
the
attend
statute?
and participate.
Never mind, you're not going to answer.
No, I am.
All right, let's go, move on next. Anyone else? Want to say anything? Okay, let's take the roll, please.
So we're voting on
Excusing the absences.
non-excused.
Has Mr. Janiak been riced, by the way?
There's no such
We're on the roll.
He hasn't been riced?
Go for it.
Councilmember Abrahamson,
No. Excuse me, can I ask?
We're in the middle of a roll. Next.
Is it excusing him or not excusing him?
It was not excusing him. Is that what you said? One more time, Quinn,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn, do you want to repeat it?
We need to start over.
Councilman Quinn, please restate the motion.
The motion is that we are not excusing the councilman for not attending physically the meeting.
Thank you. Please
That he
call the roll.
participated in?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Jednak,
Abstain.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
No.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
President Sackett,
Yes. 5 yeses, 2 noes, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Town Attorney, can I ask your advice what we would do from here?
Well, the advice is simple. Since no excuses have been accepted, or no excuses have even been offered, frankly.
Were excuses provided?
That's right. They were asked for, but they weren't provided. Since the excuses have not been accepted by the council, since the council has voted not to accept any excuses, and not to excuse the absences, the council would now, the statute actually operates to state that the seat shall be deemed vacant. Those are the words, okay? So the council seat, at this point, shall be deemed vacant. It's vacant by operation of law. I would suggest that the council make a motion to acknowledge that it's vacant by operation of law.
Thank you.
Then, can I make a motion, Council President?
Sure.
Then I'd like to make a motion that this seat is now vacant.
I will second.
Discussion?
Sure.
Council President, at any time when Mr. Jeniak attended and participated by phone, did he vote on any business?
Yeah, he did. Who cares?
Did he, just simple questions, just yes or no.
I'm not answering your questions.
Have you ever missed a meeting, or?
This isn't about me, so
No, I'm asking you, though.
it's not about me right now.
Have any other council members participated
we're
by
not
phone
talking
or
about that right
absent?
now.
Council President.
We have a motion on the floor. If you want to discuss the motion, talk about the motion. Otherwise, we're going to move on. Okay? We have a meeting to do. Okay?
I have a question. There's some discussion that can ensue about that. Are we going to go back and vote on everybody's excuse from the beginning, from that time period? Because if I recall, and I look at the list in front of me of the absentees, Council President, you phoned in, Mr. Quinn phoned in, there were several people that phoned in. Are we going to vote on all of those, including myself?
No one missed 12 meetings, 12 weeks, whatever it is, so let's just move on. We have a motion on the floor, unless you have anything else pertaining to it. Okay? Whatever, 12 weeks.
Since the vote was taken today not to excuse the absences, it would be my legal interpretation that any action would be prospective. There's not a retrospective vacancy of the seat. The seat is vacant as of your motion today. So what she's saying would be irrelevant.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
No.
Councilmember Jednak?
Abstain.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
This is unjust and unconstitutional. No.
Yes or no?
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 5 yeses, 2 noes, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Mr. Jedniak, please vacate your seat.
Council President, what do you plan to do if I refuse to?
You could sit there, but you can't talk. You can sit there, but we prefer you to sit in there with the audience.
So your intention is to ignore my presence for the remainder of this meeting?
Yeah, correct, you won't be recognized.
I didn't hear your response, Council President.
You wouldn't be recognized.
I disagree with the action that you just took. If you're going to ignore me for the rest of the meeting, I will not sit here.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask them to speak up. We're moving on to number 6, appointment to fill the vacancy of council member Ward 3. We have 1 nomination, Douglas Brooks Jr. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
discussion real quick?
Sure.
We have the letter from the attorney for the
I can read that.
RTCC.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to address that or
Yeah,
whatever.
I can read it into record. We received a letter earlier today from a Kathleen M. Thur, and I'll read it. It says, nomination of RTCC to fill Rockaway Township Council Ward 3 vacancy. Dear Mr. Perone, as you are aware, I am counsel to the Rockaway Township Republican Committee. The RTCC previously submitted the nomination of Douglas Brooks to fill the vacant Ward 3 council seat vacated by the resignation of Councilwoman Phyllis Smith. The RTCC recommends the Township Council accept the nomination of Douglas Brooks to fill the remaining term of Councilwoman Smith. Mr. Brooks is recommended by the RTCC by nearly unanimous vote of the committee. Please be advised the RTCC does not object if the Rockaway Township Council wishes to consider additional candidates to fill the vacancy. Please be further advised that the RTCC does not seek additional time to recommend additional nominees to fill the Ward 3 Township Council vacancy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Respectfully submitted, Kathleen M. Thurer. Was there any other nominations from the floor? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
No.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
No.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 5 yeses, 2 noes. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Brooks. We're going to take a quick minute. We can swear in Douglas Brooks. Mr. Brooks, do you have someone that you wanted to swear you in? Okay. You want the mayor to swear you in? He can. Okay.
Who's Doug?
Who made the motion? Did you make the motion?
Yes,
Who seconded?
I, Douglas Brooks Jr. I, Douglas Brooks Jr. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will faithfully. That I will faithfully. Impartially. Impartially. And justly. And justly. Perform all the duties. Perform all the duties. Of the office of Rockaway Township. Of the office of Rockaway Township. Ward 3 Council Member. Ward 3 Council Member. To the best of my ability. To the best of my ability. And that I will support the Constitution. And that I will support the Constitution. Of the United States. Moving on to number 7, approval of minutes. We have July 30th, 2019 special meeting, September 3rd, 2019 special meeting, September 3rd, 2019 closed session, September 10th, 2019 regular meeting, and September 10th, 2019 closed session. Do you want to do them as a whole, or just want to do them individually?
Do them as a whole.
Whole.
Anyone?
I make a motion.
I cannot do them as a whole, so I'll pull out what my answers are.
That's fine.
Okay, and I just have to make a motion to amend the September 10th meetings minutes?
Anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
Which one, the regular meeting or closed?
Which one?
The regular meeting.
Yes.
The council president did appointments, and I don't think they were reflected correctly in the minutes.
Do you know what
Do you know what page it was on?
No, I don't know what page it was on.
or maybe we can just read the ones that should have been on the minutes?
Well, I know I was appointed to the ordinance council, and that's not on there,
Committee.
committee.
Oh, it was page 23. It says ordinance committee, Jack Quinn, Chair, Manuel Freelander, Jonathan Sackett. Actually, yeah, it should say Jack Quinn, Manuel Freelander, Mary New.
Is that the only one, Ms. New?
That's the only one, yes.
I second the motion.
Okay. So we're going to be amending that. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
I need to abstain
Oh,
on.
1 second, Ms. Amerson. We're on the middle of a roll call to amend the minutes for September 10th, 2019 regular meeting.
I'm sorry, yes, sir. Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Abstain.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. We have 7 yeses, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Okay, so we're going to be approving all the minutes. So please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
July 30th, special meeting abstain. September 3rd, special meeting abstain. September 3rd, closed session abstain. September 10th, regular meeting, yes. September 10th, closed session abstain.
Motion, did someone make a motion second?
Mr. Quinn, Ms. New, I believe. Second.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
And just so that we're on correct on the record here, they're saying yes to all.
Correct.
Correct? Okay, because we went through it individually, Mrs. Abrahamson. Yes to all.
Vice President I'm sorry. Councilmember Brooks?
Abstain.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes to all. So we have, for July 30th, we have 6 yeses, 2 abstentions. For September 3rd, 6 yeses, 2 abstentions. September 3rd, closed session, 6 yeses, 2 abstentions. September 10th, regular meeting, 7 yeses, 1 abstention. And September 10th, closed session, 6 yeses, 2 abstentions. Motion carries. Moving on to number 8, ordinances to adopt. Ordinance 0-19-18, an ordinance of the Township of Rockaway and the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for various capital improvements for the Township of Rockaway and appropriating $2,600,546, therefore, and providing for the issuance of $1,803,771 in general improvement bonds or notes of the Township of Rockaway to finance the same. We'll be having a open to the public right now on this. If anyone wants to discuss this, please come on up to the microphone. Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have discussion for
Discussion
council.
first. Any other discussion?
We do, Council President, if I may.
Sure.
When we had this ordinance come up on several different times and renamed or renumbered several different times because of the originally putting the basketball court amounts on for referendum, which there was an agreement and consent at our last budget meeting, and then we also had a motion to be made to have that put on referendum by August 16th of this year, which has passed. And then we went through some discussion about some reduction of cost. And I did provide this council with some cost analysis showing neighboring towns that we had, and Randolph being the most recent one, to revamp their basketball court, and they did a phenomenal job for $102,000. And just recently, we had Rockaway Borough that did their basketball court for under $20,000. It was just over $17,500. Then there was a reduction of $250,000, and we were going to have this at the last meeting to vote on, and then Councilman Jackson wanted it tabled because he was going to review the capital plans, the new capital plans, or what we originally thought when we were here was the plans for the basketball court. I'm asking that we look at this in a serious context, because I don't see the $250,000 reduction as it was originally indicated. I see $250,000 going towards the basketball court solely. And when we first discussed this, it was $400,000 minus $250,000, which was $150,000 to the courts. Now, last year when we had our budget, which we were all part of and voted on, the rec department originally requested $175,000 for those courts. And without any participation from the council at that time, they recommended $100,000 over one period, which was that year, for the capital plan, and ended at only $100,000. We had a presentation concerning the capital plan, and then we also had Keller Kirkpatrick provide us with analysis and some of the information that was there. And that started at September 30th of 2016, and I don't think it wrapped up until October or beginning of November of 2018. I know I only had a small portion of time to review that information that was provided until it was requested back from Administration and Engineering. I know that I would imagine that majority of the members here had no ability to look at it because it wasn't provided to me on numerous requests, and I even asked for it from Oprah. I know that Mr. Jackson had the ability to meet and review, but then was looking for more information on some new plans, which was at the last meeting that he discussed. Is there any way maybe we can look at this again now, and I don't know if it's legal, if we can make a motion to further amend it, because $250,000, I mean, we talked about scoreboards and other things to remove. There was some inquiry about what can the township do in-house to save money. We have an asphalt ripper that can rip up the asphalt. We have a 50G John Deere excavator with a thumb to excavate any of the cubic amount of material to lengthen that basketball court from 66 feet to 84 feet regulation on two of the courts. We're leaving one of them the same. You know, there's a lot of areas there that we can save a heck of a lot of money rather than just say, listen, you know what, we have an open check, let's do $250. It's against what we agreed upon on numerous occasions, and even most recently. Is there any room with this council to maybe set aside the $100,000 like what Randolph did, and they use that money wisely rather than, you know, putting up these scoreboards and everything else that they can't maintain during the time. You're a basketball coach and participate in the program. Everything is indoors. Most of the time it's in the wintertime when it wouldn't be taken out here. And I just think this might be a little bit of a reckless display of wasteful funds of that amount. I agree that they're needed. I think there's other ways to do it in a more fiscal way. And I just think it's something we should look at. And then just one other question would be just a new member of the council. Mr. Brooks, if you had any ability to look at any of this information that the engineering or administration wasn't giving to us on a second round, did you look at a cost analysis and get any information prior to you becoming a councilman tonight to participate in a vote?
Mr. Brooks?
Sure. I don't think I lose my position on the Recreation Committee, correct?
No.
So we have been discussing this for several months in committee, that we've been going back and forth on. We, as the committee, I would actually agree with you on that, Mr. Kelly, that have a little bit of difference with what the court is going to look like. So I would have to say that would be something that we discussed in our committee.
Correct.
To modify it, to bring it down within funds. I can see appropriating funds that we as the council would have the ability to look at a plan and say, let's bring it in. And I agree with you. I think our town employees are great, and I think they can do a lot of the work themselves as well. So I don't have a problem with that. And I do have some things that I've looked at personally to see what we could be doing, at the basketball courts. Because I honestly don't think full-size basketball courts is, needed for recreational fields, to be honest.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of the other municipalities that I've spoken to, and even Mr. O'Connor recently in the borough, who was a wealth of information, as well as Russ over in Randolph, pickup games, most of them are. There's no real scheduled games to play out there. There's an individual that has a program that they charge people, and they would utilize that area. They currently use Morris Hills right now, but scoreboards, those lengths are there. I mean, there's other areas that we can do that, lengthening that, where we can just maybe top it with a 2 or 3 inch based on what we have there. Figure out the way for pitching the water to go to another area or draining to one end. But you would also provided a plan yourself to the town. Did that include the basketball courts as well?
The most recent that we've been working on as a committee, yes, it does have an option to redo the courts a little bit more community orientated. And so that is something that the mayor, we've discussed, and we're going to be having a meeting about to see. So I think allocating any money towards recreation is always the best for the community. So, I'm okay with allocating the money and having the council have the ability to decide where the funds are exactly going.
Correct.
So, I don't want to spend money and just throw it out either. I think if we thoroughly go through each of the plans and we decide as a community what's best for the community, then, spending that money would be fine. But I agree, I don't think we need scoreboards or lights or anything else like that.
So
Mayor
rather
Puzo?
than reduce
Hold on
the
one second.
amount.
Let's go to Mayor Puzo.
I don't want everyone to get caught up in the weeds. Councilman Brooks has hit the nail on the head. As I've said before, this does not dictate the project. This makes the funds available to the town to do a project. As I've said before, if we put out, and I'm using figurative numbers, if we want to put $1 million in our capital ordinance for basketball courts, and we decide on a plan and we go out to bid, and that bid comes in at $200,000, $100,000, we will not spend $1 million. This makes the money, all this does is makes the money available for the project. The council still has the ability to rein the project in, to get rid of scoreboards, to adjust and go forward. I think we're making this more complex than it is. It just makes the money available. It's really that simple.
Mrs. Palmieri, if I may ask her a question? The money that we would take on this particular thing, if we were to go through with this, and the $250,000 that's in here for the basketball courts, which was originally, I thought was $150 from the $400, now it's back up to another number. Do we pay interest on that money?
We don't pay interest until we actually borrow the funds. We do a note sale every year. We base the note, we size the note according to what cash flow we're going to need going forward. So my plan is to have a note sale in November. Depending on how quickly this project moves forward, we would either borrow up to the $250 or something less, depending on what the bid specs come in for, and so that you would not necessarily be paying interest on the full $250.
And that's the question, what I was trying to relate to, is that if, let's say we don't get all those bids in by a certain time frame, but you have a note sale that's coming up, and then we do take the $250,000, we're paying interest on the $250,000, whether we use 120, 100,000, 80,000, or 200,000.
That's correct. But
Okay.
again, the note is sized based on our needs,
Right.
all the projects, not just the basketball courts. And they could even be for projects that we authorized last year, even the year before. We just didn't, depends on timing. So, the note might be $2 million, a portion of it would be towards the basketball.
Right, but nickels and dimes make dollars. This is a component of that total amount that we would be paying interest on. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Please call the roll. Oh, no one made a motion?
No motion was made.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make-
Real quick,
Do we have
Council
a motion?
President, because of the participation and the plans that were drawn by Mr. Brooks, is there any conflict that we have to worry about?
I see no conflict.
Okay.
Can we make a motion?
Can I make a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll second it.
01918?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
No.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Abstain.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 6 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Moving on to under 8, number B, an ordinance of the Township of Rockaway and the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for the acquisition of computers and networking equipment for the Department of Information and Technology, including all structures, work, equipment, and materials necessary therefore or incidental thereto from the Reserve for Information Technology, acquisitions and appropriations, $100,000 therefore. Anyone from the public like to come up and speak on this?
Council
Any-
President, excuse me, there should be a motion and second before you invite public comment.
I make the motion. I'll second.
Anyone from the public? Did you hear that? Any comments from the council? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Oh, you know what I do? You know what, take that back, don't worry about it. I was anticipating some members of the public.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 8 yeses, 0 noes, motion carries.
Congratulations to the fire department.
That wasn't the fight, that was the computers.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I still meant yes.
Okay.
That's what I was looking on that one.
Going
I
on to
apologize.
C, O 19-20, amending Article 51 and Article 52 of the Township of Rockaway Fire Department Rules and Regulations. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
No.
President Sackett?
Yes. 7 yeses, 1 no, motion carries.
Now, congratulations to the fire department.
Moving on to D, O 19-21, repealing Chapter 2, Financial Review Board of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Rockaway in its entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from the public?
I do, Councilor. Oh,
Let's
sorry.
do the public first. Seeing none, any discussion from the council?
I have just a quick question. Is there any anticipation of creating a new financial review board?
Maybe down the road?
I mean, any subjection of idea, like, is there a reason we even delete it right now, and maybe we?
I don't know, maybe down the road. Anything else?
No, that's all, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
No.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly,
No.
Councilmember Brooks,
Abstain.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
President Sackett,
Yes, we have 5 yeses, 2 noes, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Moving on. F, ordinance 19-23, ordinance amending Article 4, Chapter 2-5, Rules of Procedure.
Wait, you skipped E.
Did I skip E?
Yeah, the environmental.
Oops, sorry. Apologize. Going back to E. A lot of papers up here. Okay. Ordinance, E, ordinance 19-22, repealing Chapter 2 Environmental Commission of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the council?
Yes, Council President,
Yes, Mr.
Uh,
Friedlander?
Mr. Mayor, can you just explain, because some people aren't aware that we think we're eliminating an environmental commission?
Okay, what had happened is, there were some issues with the Environmental Commission procedurally. So we took a look at it, sat down, took a look at it, spoke with our town attorney, and what we did is we repealed the Environmental Commission. And if you look a little bit further in the agenda, it's going to be reconstituted as an environmental committee. The requirements for a committee are a little bit less stringent, and as far as how they operate, and we still get the same, we achieve the same results. My intention is to, I've already reached out, I've emailed some of the former commission members to see if they want to serve on the committee and just shift them over to the environmental committee. So it's going to serve the town in the same fashion procedurally and how they work, and the requirements are a little bit easier. Remember, these people are volunteers. The environmental commission was brought to court. Volunteers don't want to go through those types of things. So when you're a committee, you have a little bit looser guidelines to operate under, and I felt that it was best to attract talent, that the people who are on the commission would now be a little bit more comfortable and willing to serve on a committee, since the restrictions or the guidelines that they would fall under are a little bit looser. So you still are going to, your environment is going to be represented in Rockaway Township, hopefully by the same people, and we're going to get the same level of service from them. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Did member of the public are complete? They didn't?
Yeah, they're done. Yeah, that's why I went to Mr. Friedlander.
Mr. Mayor, could you just, what were the issues?
The issues were, let me just check with the attorney. Some of this is still in litigation, so I don't know if I'm allowed to speak about, is it ongoing?
Well, we're repealing it. I mean, you
Yeah,
can talk
we're
about why
repeal,
you're
it's
repealing it.
okay, I can repeal, I'm allowed to repeal committees. That has nothing to do with the litigation. What you're asking me is what were some of the issues? There was a lawsuit, and there were some issues, they're still being fleshed out. So I don't want to speak about what went on until it's over and done with, and I'm allowed to.
And Mr. Mayor, I mean, we have volunteers in Planning Board, Board of Adjustment,
Sure.
right? And there's lawsuits that relate to those boards too?
What's your point?
I'm just asking.
Okay, what's your point? I'm
Well,
just
My
asking too.
point is that we have a board, we have a commission that have volunteers that got sued once in however long it's been since they've been a commission. And because of one incident, you're going to repeal the commission. You can't give us the issues or the concerns or the reasoning for it. But,
It's not a concern. The town is being served by the committee in
Okay.
the same fashion, so why would you even bring that up? I don't understand.
well, I'm just asking you, what are the issues as to why we're doing this?
And I explained to you, it's in litigation.
Okay.
It hasn't been concluded, so
No, I understand.
don't feel comfortable talking. Thank you. Thank you for understanding.
The reason for the committee, because you're changing this over to a committee tonight,
Correct.
so we're repealing a commission, we're potentially bringing over the same members if they're interested to go into a committee.
Correct, that's what I
Right.
said, yes.
Now, the commission, currently right now, before the repeal, or any commission,
Okay.
are they subjected to transparency like Oprah and OPMA?
Okay, that's a legal question. I can defer to the town attorney as far as, I don't want to speak out of turn and give you all of the, and give you wrong answers.
Yeah, it's okay.
I wish you would have emailed me prior, and I would have been able to be prepared for these questions. I've always asked the council, if you have questions.
I wasn't prepared for you to say what you were saying. I didn't know you were
Okay.
going to give a response like that. If you would have given me that.
All right,
it
but
would-
it was on the agenda.
Yep.
It's on the agenda, and I said this last meeting. I told you what
Mr. Mayor, or is the commission?
I told you, please, let me finish.
Right.
I said at the last meeting that the commission was going to be repealed when there were people here, that we were going to reconstitute it. If you go back to the tape, you'll be able to see that.
Nobody's denying that, Mr. Mayor. I'm just asking if the commission is subject to OPMA and
Okay,
OPRA.
you would have to refer those questions to the town attorney, to legal. I'm not an expert on
Mr.
OPMA
Iacofano?
or OPRA.
Is the commission subjected to OPRA and OPMA?
We'll be happy to provide the council with an opinion if the council president requests it.
Is it really necessary to have the taxpayers pay for an
We
opinion
want to
for-
give you, you're asking right now, you're taking up time. Every hour that we go past on questions, the town attorney gets paid. Is that correct, Mr. Iacofano?
Mr. Mayor,
So if a meeting takes 6 hours, well, you hope so. If a meeting takes 6 hours, there's 6 hours of billing. If a meeting takes an hour,
All right, let's
then we
move
get
on.
billed for an hour.
Let's go.
So is the commission?
I'm not interested in his
Is the
opinion
commission,
on it.
I mean,
Let's move on.
we're repealing something, Council
Yeah.
President, that
Well, let's go.
the
Come on.
transparency is going to be removed
Let's
of this
go.
committee or commission.
Not true.
The committee, you're telling me that the committee that you're creating is going to be subjected to OPRA?
Listen,
and-
I'm not telling you anything. I'm telling you
Obviously.
what I'm doing as mayor and
Council
what
President, I
I,
have no more questions. He answered.
excellent, thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
telling you what I'm doing is in
No,
the
thank
best,
you.
Move on.
is in the best interest of the town.
You don't want to be
Anything
transparent
else?
about a committee versus a commission.
Anything
You know
else?
the
Kelly,
answer, and you don't want to tell it.
I always enjoy the words that you say and that you try to project onto other people. I never said
I
that.
asked you a simple question.
You said
If it's
that.
related
Call the
to-
roll.
And I asked you a simple question. You can't answer
Call
it.
the roll.
Time to vote.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, Council President.
Yes?
The discussion.
Yep, sure. Do you have anything to add?
I just want to repeat that the commission being turned into a committee, I believe, after doing some research today, does eliminate the Open Public Meetings Act, and that it does not give transparency to the public. As also stated by Mr. Mayor Puccio, that we should ask questions prior to meetings, which disenfranchises the public that are watching these meetings and attending these meetings to hear the two sides to every decision. So I think in the interest of what everybody is trying to achieve is open government, these trustees should not be behind closed doors so that everybody can understand why we are transitioning from a committee to a commission or a commission to a committee. I think it's only fair and just, and that is the way it should be.
The agenda is posted. The agenda is posted to the public. I've got a few questions prior to the meeting, so the public is welcome to reach out to anybody from administration or their council representatives at any time. At any time. We don't have to sit here for 7 hours at a meeting going back and forth. So people have time to ask any questions they like. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Thank
Council President?
Please call the roll.
Council President may be recognized?
No. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
No.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
No.
Councilmember Brooks?
Abstain.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 5 yeses, 2 noes, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Moving on to open to the public, number 9. Oh, did I miss something? Oh, jeez. Oh, you know, sorry. Jeez. Sorry. F, 019-23, ordinance amending Article 4, Chapter 2-5, Rules of Procedure, Meetings of the Council, subsection 2-5.4, Public Meetings of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion from the public? Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson? Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Freelander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Abstain.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 6 yeses, 2 abstentions. Motion carries.
Mr. Brooks voted on it?
Yes. Number 9, now open to the public. Before we start open to the public, just wanted to read something. Chapter 2, Administrative Code, Article 4, Meetings of the Council, 2-5.14, Addressing the Council. Any person desiring to address the council shall first seek recognition by the presiding officer, provided, however, that a portion of the regular monthly public meeting and the monthly conference agenda meeting shall be open to the public comment. Upon recognition by the chair, the person shall give his name and address in an audible tone of voice for the records. Unless further time is granted by the council, he shall limit his statement to 5 minutes. Statements shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. A councilman shall not direct any question to a speaker addressing the council except through the presiding officer. Can we have David Press?
Dave Press, 71 Oakland Avenue. You stole my thunder by a couple of things you did, so I just want to congratulate you and commend you. It's just the first of a long line of things giving us back our town. And the other thing is, especially since you just mentioned about the 5-minute time, I brought this up before, but it would really be nice, and the public would really appreciate it if members of the council were held to a 5-minute limit also, instead of just being allowed to pontificate. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Degnan?
Pat Degnan, 88 Valley View Drive. At the last meeting, I mentioned the candidates' night for White Meadow Lake. I've been able to change the date because you changed the council meeting to the 7th. The date is now the 14th. It's a week later, same time, same place. I've tried to email just about everybody. If you haven't gotten an email from me, you will eventually get the email that says the change of date. It's the same venue, and it's a Monday night, so I appreciate anybody who can change their schedule to accommodate the change, but I didn't want to have it at the same time as a council meeting because I think the people need to attend council meetings. The other thing is I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, there are an awful lot of roads getting paved in White Meadow Lake. And I thank you so much because it seems as though the work of the town is getting done.
Thank you. Michael Lardy?
Michael Lardy, 19 North Brookside Drive. I'd like to thank the council, President Sackett, Councilman Freelander, along with the township attorney for meeting with some Rockaway residents at White Meadow Lake this evening to discuss the concerns about short-term rentals. We look forward to finding a solution together about the concerns that were discussed. It says a lot that Councilwoman Phyllis Smith resigned as soon as her side lost a majority. It looks to me that she wasn't here as an independent voice for the best interest of Rockaway Township, but as a puppet vote. As for the past council vice president, to resign her position on the afternoon of the day when she was going to be voted out, and to not show up at the meeting that evening, shows no backbone, unlike the past council president, Kelly, who showed up and moved over to a new seat and attended the meeting.
And shook his hand.
Another note, I brought this up, I think, once before. The bushes on the corner of West Lake Shore Drive and Old Middletown are very high, and cars coming down the hill, you just can't see the cars until you proceed into the intersection. And the cars that are coming down the hill, if they're going to make a left, they almost clip you, because the time you creep out, they're already making their turn, not looking that way, they're just looking to make sure no one's coming from the other direction. And that bush it's been a problem for a long time. The other thing I wanted to bring up is White Meadow Lake is about 2,500 homes. I'm not sure how many homes are in the township, if it's 10,000 or whatever. But they're a good percentage of the township that contributes quite a bit to the tax base. But the township does not contribute to White Meadow Lake for a playground or for any kind of facilities like that, because it's a private community, and if there's a playground in White Meadow Lake, it's for White Meadow Lake residents. However, the White Meadow Lake residents that pay taxes to the township contribute to all the playgrounds in the township. So if there's a township that the taxpayer dollars are paying for, up Green Pond Road, over by Fleetwood, White Meadow Lake residents aren't getting in their car and driving there. They're using the facilities in White Meadow Lake because people stay within their neighborhood to go to a playground. They push the kids on a stroller to it. They're not driving to it for the most part. But the township does not contribute anything to that section of Rockaway Township. The tax dollars do not come back to White Meadow Lake. So I think that's something maybe the council at large can discuss over time and maybe plan in a budget to contribute something to that section of town. Even though it's a private community, it is a percentage of Rockaway Township that pays taxes to contribute to those types of things, but does not get that in return, the way the other part of the township benefits from. That's all. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mayor Puzio, could maybe the administration look into that one issue he was talking about with the bushes?
Already done, we're
All right.
working on it, yep.
Thank you.
And Mr. Sackett, could I just, one comment real quick with Mr. Lardy?
Okay.
Mr. Lardy, I believe the township does, they maintain the POA fields over there.
Shared service
They
agreement.
mow the ball field in exchange for the township using the ball field, but that doesn't say anything about playgrounds
Yeah.
or anything like that. They don't contribute to, besides mowing that field, unless we may have an agreement when the request comes to White Meadow Lake.
Right.
We may barter to get something done that needs to be done in that area. But in general,
But it is private property, all the components in the POA that are owned on there.
correct.
And then children that reside in White Meadow Lake that participate in recreation do use all the recreation fields that are under the programs, not
Correct.
just the POA fields.
I understand.
And then the POA fields that the taxpayers pay for the recreation to maintain and repair and
In exchange for them using that.
they do, but the township also maintains those fields, and you have other leagues that are not sponsored by Rockaway Township that play in a POA, right?
Now, the POA or Hub Lakes, which is we're part of Hub Lakes.
There's no like softball teams and other things that are,
Not non-White Meadow Lake softball teams, unless our team is playing an out-of-town team or another
Right.
lake team.
but there's other teams that play in there other than recreational programs?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
They have to be White Meadow Lake residents.
Yeah, I've been there, right, but White Meadow residents get to use that field anytime,
Yes,
have games and
Yes.
assemble there. And
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa Sahlberg.
Hi, Lisa Salberg, 10 Bergen Hill. Welcome, Councilman Brooks. A couple things now that hopefully we're getting back on track to getting some business done. There are some unkept properties throughout town. Some of them even belong to members of the council. It is time that the council and the administration come together and aggressively go after those who do not keep their property up. There's one house that is on Megan's Road that was, unfortunately, the elder couple passed away. And there's mold growing in the house. I've called the town, the maintenance companies come out to look at it. They've cut some of the brush back by the mailbox, but this is one of many houses that is in complete and utter disrepair and taking down the property values of all of the homes around it. And it's one thing when it's an old couple who's passed away, it's another when it's a sitting councilman. They have to be held accountable, and we have to work on a system to condemn properties once they're scofflaws and they're no longer taking care of the property. So I'm hoping that the administration and the town attorney can find a pathway to condemn homes when they are truly in need of being condemned. What else was there? There was something else that I was going to bring up, and now I forget. I know, that's a good idea to write it down, but I didn't do that. It's a nice look on this council mostly, and I'm looking forward to great things from you all, so thank you for your service.
Ms. Solberg, do you think maybe if you have the addresses, you can send them to administration, if there's a bunch of them you're talking about? Maybe you can send them over to Ms. Seeger, and we can,
I have filed a complaint on the
Okay.
councilman's property
Okay.
myself, and I have given the 47 Green Pond, or Megan's Road address to the town to look into, but
Okay.
it just seems like it's taking a long time to get that company to actually move.
okay.
There's another couple of properties around Telemark that are bad as well. I haven't really taken down all of their specific addresses,
Okay,
but I'm sure if we have, some of the town employees, the administration can task them with going to those properties and driving around and taking note of where the properties are, rather than the citizens having to be proactive and providing that. Maybe we can just take a tour
yeah, if you
around.
just had them, that's what I was
Yeah,
wondering if you
I
had them
will.
offhand. No worries.
I will bring some later.
All right, thank you. Jim Waters?
Council, administration. I'm not used to seeing so many people from the administration here, and I'm really glad to see it. Mr. Brooks, welcome. I'd say the composition of the council has been improving each meeting for this year, and I'm really appreciative of that. I got a number of things, not necessarily related or in any particular order. Somebody pointed out to me on Facebook that Mr. Wittig, who used to be on the Financial Review Board and the Technology Review Committee, was upset with my indicating that perhaps sometimes people on the administration were underappreciated for the job that they do, and for the time that they put in, they might be considered sometimes underpaid as well. He objected to that. I think it's a very realistic situation to notice that these people are putting in time over and above what their job requirements actually are. And I'm as guilty as anybody else of not coming up and saying, hey guys, thanks for doing that particular job. I saw you here at 10 o'clock last night, and I really appreciate you going above and beyond. Shame Mr. Wittig isn't here. We could share some of our opinions. It's nice to see Councilman Quinn on this end of the dais.
Thank you.
And his voice rings loud and clear from where we can hear it. It's good to see you down here.
Thank you.
I did get a real chuckle when I heard a councilwoman remark that she's been pushing, or she's in favor of transparency, since she's been one of the least transparent council people over the last 2 years. And I apologize if I'm directing my comments not to the council in general, because most of the council in general doesn't need to hear what I'm saying, but there are specific council people who need to listen to themselves before they accuse other people of what they're guilty of. I was asked by another council person at the last meeting if I could please stop being so sarcastic during meetings, and I apologize. That's the way I'm built, and sometimes we're prompted or compelled to make comments to certain individuals. I noticed that Judge Minkowitz also nearly blew a gasket when he was being browbeaten and giving legal lessons in court. My comment, I think, was that I will stop being as sarcastic as I have been when that particular individual stops asking rhetorical questions to which he already knows the answer, and then goes after someone else in a prosecutorial fashion, not adding any information to the conversation, just doing his best Perry Mason imitation. I don't think it contributes to the conversation at all. I've also been, just to mirror that individual, I've also been made aware that there's one council person who's been attending at least one council meeting, warning the people on that board that they better be careful, they better watch their steps, because there's a new council in town that's taking notes and will be going after anyone who gets out of line. That would be the Board of Adjustment. I have not yet asked for a transcript or an audio recording of that meeting, but I understand the comments were, I'd call them unethical, coming from a member of the Township Council. That's all I've got. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Waters. Jimmy Rosario.
Jimmy Rosario, 12 Houston Street. I just wanted to find out if there's any way they could do a study on the corner of Route 46 and Pilsen Street. My reason for that is that I watch from the high school, I watch all these kids crossing the highway right after school. I watch them going probably to the arcade, to the chicken place. I watch women coming out of the apartments there with the carriages crossing the highway. I watch senior citizens with bags coming out of the ShopRite crossing the highway. What can we do about the highway? And as you understand, there's a kid that just died 2 days ago. Is being buried this coming Saturday. I know it's over by McDonald's, but these kids are coming out of the school, and I watch them because I'm there, and they're crossing the highway. Somebody's going to get hurt there. There's not a good crosswalk there. There's no place for people to cross there. So I'm just bringing it up to see what could they do before a kid gets hurt there. You know, these kids, they just go and they cross.
Town engineer.
Yes, thank you for discussing this matter. It is a very pressing and concerning matter for all of us, and
I got here.
oh, I'm sorry, especially with the recent accident on Route 46. That is DOT jurisdiction, and we've had multiple meetings with them for improvements to that section of the corridor of Route 46. That includes pedestrian crosswalks, both sidewalks along 46 and crosswalks, controlled crosswalks across.
But there is a crosswalk there, but that's only for the
Right.
people that are traveling from the west to the east. If there's people in the eastbound going to the west, they would have to have a sidewalk where the car dealer is. There's no sidewalk there. There's grass. How is somebody going to go to the
Yes.
crosswalk?
It has the warning, it's worn in that area, right? Because of all the
Yeah, but that's in
pedestrians?
the west
Yes.
part of the building.
So their scope of work does include both
People are crossing
sidewalks?
right from the pizzeria. They're crossing right across, and I
All
watch
right.
them all the time. I own the building right across the street there next to the Dickinson, and one of my tenants, he tells me, I watch these kids go there by the bunch.
All right.
Please.
We're gonna reach out to the DOT, and we're gonna have another meeting with them to discuss what their timing is and whether or not we can move it up and what we can implement there. So they do have on their radar pedestrian improvements, signal improvements, sidewalk improvements, so it's going in the right direction, and with this recent incident, we will reach out to them.
You know, right now, there's still a cross right there from somebody that just got
But it needs
got
improvements.
killed right there in that corner. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Please come up to the microphone. Name, address.
Patrick Dio, 11 Valley Road. I just want to say I appreciate the fact that finally, after so many years and months, that we have volunteers from our township for the commission for that, the sewer commission, yeah, I call it. And I hope that now we'll be able to move forward to get the Bowieeville situation resolved, and those people who rightfully owe the township money will pay that money that is due to all those citizens that have footed the bill all these many years. So I say thank you to those who have volunteered to come forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Open the public is closed. Moving on. Number 10, ordinance to introduce O-19-24, amending Chapter 2 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway to establish an environmental advisory committee and to amend the language of the ordinance applicable to the newly named Open Space Advisory Committee. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Please call the roll.
Any discussion on that? Council
Any discussion?
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to have it? We don't need to have it.
Well, I'm asking for it.
Quickly.
Again, this is dealing with the committee now, correct?
This is, yep, you saw what it said.
Does it bother any of the members of this council that minutes are not going to be required, and that nothing that is discussed or presented is going to fall under the Open Public Meeting Act as well as the Open Public Record Act? If we keep it as a commission, there is mandatory transparency. If we keep it as a committee, there is no transparency requirement whatsoever, which is the sole reason to move this from a commission to a committee. The administration's not going to admit to that, but that's exactly what's taking place right now.
That would be false, Mr. Kelly.
Anything else? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
No.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
No.
Councilmember Brooks?
Abstain.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 5 yeses, 2 noes, 1 abstention, motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have R 19-178, R 19-179, R 19-180, R 19-181, R 19-182, R 19-183, R 19-184. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes, we have 8 yeses, 0 noes, motion carries. Moving on to number 12, council appointments. Zoning Board of Adjustment, full member, Raymond Tahan, Dominic Nicastro. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Do we have any discussion on this at all?
Do we need to have any discussion on council appointments, Town Attorney?
You may if you choose to, Council President.
Okay, you can make it brief.
Yeah, I just made a note that we had many applications for this, and I noticed that all the women that applied are only alternates. Not one is a full member, and I think that's pretty ironic. That's all I have to say.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
No.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
No to both.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes, we have 6 yeses, 2 noes. Motion carries. Congratulations. Moving on. Zoning Board of Adjustment alternates. We have Carol Lucas, Robin Garcia. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
No to 1, yes on 2.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. On 1, we have 7 yeses, 1 no. On 2, we have 8 yeses, 0 noes. Motion carries. Congratulations. Moving on to C, Board of Assessment Commissioners. Resolution R 19-185, appointing members of the Rockaway Township Board of Assessment Commissioners for local improvements in accordance with Chapter 2-34, Article 8, Sections 2-34.2 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Discussion, Council President?
Do we have to read the whole thing, Town Attorney? Should we read the whole sheet, or we're okay with not reading the whole thing? With all the names and everything else?
Oh, yeah, no, I would recommend you read the appointments.
Okay. Let me read them first, and then we'll go to any discussion.
Thank you.
Resolution appointing members of the Rockaway Township Board of Assessment Commissioners for local improvements in accordance with Chapter 2-34, Article 8, Section 2-34.2 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway, whereas Chapter 2-34, Article 8, Section 2-34.2 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway provides for the appointment of members to the Board of Assessment Commissioners for local improvements, and whereas there is a need for the Township Council to appoint members to aforesaid board for the purpose of making any and all needed assessments. Now therefore be it further resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Rockaway, County of Morris, and the State of New Jersey, they being the governing body thereof, as follows. The following named individuals are hereby appointed as Commissioners of the Board of Assessment Commissioners for local improvements. A. James Waters. B. David Press. C. Mark Griff. The following named individuals are hereby appointed as alternates to the Board of Assessment Commissioners to serve in the event of the incapacity or disqualification of any of the individuals named in the preceding paragraph in accordance with Section 2-33.4 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway. A. Lisa Solberg. B. Frank Jekyll. All members appointed hereby shall receive an annual stipend of $350 in accordance with Section 2-34.5 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway. In accordance with Section 2-34.2 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway, all regular and alternate members appointed hereby shall serve for a period of 1 year from this date or until their successors are appointed and qualified. Mark Burek, Rockaway Township Tax Assessor, and Louis Eisenberg, Appraiser, are hereby appointed as ex officio members of the Board of Assessment Commissioners who advise the Board upon their expertise. Emmanuel Friedlander is hereby appointed as Council Liaison to the Board of Assessment Commissioners. Yachafano and Perone Esquires, Rockaway Township Attorney, shall provide any and all legal services required by the Board of Assessment Commissioners. Hereby served. Okay, good, that's good. Discussion?
Council President?
Yes.
As it states here, the resolution appointing members of the Rockaway Township Board of Assessment Commissioners for local improvements. Is one of those local improvements Bobbyville?
I'm not sure. This is just for General Board of Assessment Commissioners. They'll have to discuss it on their own when they have their meetings.
So you have no idea that...
This is not specifically for anything. This is just a Board of Assessment Commissioners.
Okay.
Once they meet with, they will decide, talk about what's being discussed.
Didn't we have prior discussions with the town attorney, primarily one of them that's not here right now, in regards to the creation of this commission for a sole purpose of an issue that we have, which is Bobbyville, of uncollected funds for the...
That could be one of
sewer
the issues,
assessment
but this is just a
installation?
general committee for discuss anything that's coming up, so I'm assuming that's one of them. That will be discussed, but
Has there been any discussion concerning the actual amount of money that maybe those volunteers would waive when they're actually being paid, that they would waive that $350 fee?
it's going to be a lot of work. They're going to have to meet quite a bit. There's a lot of work to do.
Council President, do we know that the planning board members or the Board of Adjustment members who meet regularly and do a lot of work for the town to protect the master plan, do they get compensated?
I'm not aware of that.
Thank you. No more questions.
Any other discussion?
Council President, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this appointment for 1 year from this date, or will it reset come January?
Should be 1 year from this date. Correct, Town Attorney, or is that?
The appointments would be effective as of the date of the council action.
Okay, so
So 1 year from today?
Yeah.
1 year, okay.
Council President, one quick question. I'm sorry, Mr. Brooks.
No, I'm good,
Oh,
thank
you're
you,
done?
Mr. Kelly.
Just real quick, how many people actually applied for this position?
I don't remember offhand. You saw the resumes. I don't hide resumes. I send them all out.
What is the,
Any other questions?
yeah, what is the total amount of commissioners that we need? Is there a limit to it, or is there, we
There
know a
was
minimum is
three full-time and 2 alternates. Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Abrahamson,
No.
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly,
No to the appointments.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
President Sackett,
Yes, 6 yeses, 2 noes, motion carries. Moving on to council president appointments. I have one appointment to make tonight under council liaisons for the Senior Citizen Committee. And I'm appointing to the Senior Citizen Committee with Ms. Smith's resignation, I'm appointing Councilman Jack Quinn to the Senior Citizens as a liaison.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Quinn.
Moving on to number 14, mayor appointments.
Yes. Mr. Tahan is now on the zoning board of adjustment. We're only allowed to have one person that serves on the planning board and also serves on the zoning board, and also serves on the zoning board of adjustment. So Mr. Tahan had to step down. He just was appointed tonight to the zoning board of adjustment. So I had to seek someone to fill his spot. And I'm very, very, very proud about the appointment that I'm going to make right now. I'm actually ecstatic. Do any of you know who Jim Lutz is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. For those of you that don't, Jim Lutz was our town attorney for how many years? Our town engineer for how many years? For 18 years. So we're very lucky to have him back. He has the institutional knowledge of this town. He obviously lives in town because he's receiving the appointment. He was ecstatic to be asked. I think he's going to bring something to the planning board, working with our current town engineer, and they work very well together, right? Is that correct? So I'm very excited about the appointment, that Jim's coming back in a volunteer capacity. I think he's going to add a lot to the town as far as his technical expertise, and he's just a great person. He knows his town inside and out. So I nominate Jim Lutz for to fill the vacant seat that Ray Tahan has vacated.
Thank you. Moving on to old business. Is there any old business?
I have old business, Council President.
Sure.
If anybody else wants to go before me, though, I'd give them the time. No? Seeing that. Back in 2018, Council President, I believe you're aware, because I had reported back to the council, I had gone to the Rockaway Borough Council and spoke in great lengths. Mrs. Smith and myself had somewhat of some ideas to create a partnership with Rockaway Borough, and it evolved around Park Lake. And we'd spoken to the rec director over there, Mr. O'Connor. We've also spoke to the mayor and council. Mr. Bell was also present, who was the town attorney for Rockaway Borough. And what we were trying to do is kind of create an attraction to Park Lake, since we both share that property, Rockaway and Rockaway Borough. Rockaway Borough even offers the beaches at the same costs for Rockaway Township residents to use that. And they're currently going through their dredging and doing their dam maintenance coming forward, and hopefully we can partner in that as well. But the questions that we were asking of the council and their interest, which they were heavily interested in, was to create a theme, especially around the holidays. I know that there was one resident that was reaching out in regards to the Halloween trunk or treat, and we also reached out in regards to the Christmas celebration or any Jewish celebrations that are there. Dover does it down at JFK Park. They do a phenomenal job with Mayor Dodd down there.
Let's stick to the business. Don't, you need to name drop any other towns. Let's stick to the business. Bring up your old business. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but whatever it is.
It's,
if you're talking, I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, what Dover does is Dover.
I'm not worried about Dover.
I am.
We're talking about the borough. You said the borough, now you're talking about Dover. So what do we do? What are we talking about with the borough?
Council President, if you would just listen for a moment rather than interrupt when I'm speaking on that.
You're going on and on.
Dover does a theme in the holidays, and we're asking to be somewhat similar to that, as well as Morristown on the Green, and trying to partner with maybe Rockaway Borough to do something similar. Now, we have Halloween coming up. They're doing
Correct.
trunk or treat.
Just so you know,
And Mr.
Just so you know, real quick.
Yeah.
I already talked to Mr. O'Connor. I know
Right.
you're trying to steal my thunder.
Nobody's trying to steal your
I'm
thunder.
the one who set it all up, not you.
Not
I'm
true.
the one who talked to Mr.
Not
O'Connor,
true.
because Mr. O'Connor called me.
Mr.
And he
Totten-
told me,
Mr. Totten was
he
interested in
told
doing
me
it originally.
that you were gonna try to do this. He specifically called me and said you were snooping around their courts today. He specifically told me. He said, Mr. Sackett, just so you know, I saw Mr. Kelly earlier today. He had a hoodie on, he was on the court snooping around, and then he slipped and told you this information. I've already been handling the Dark Lake thing you're gonna bring up, and I brought it to mayor's attention. That's how you work together.
Well,
And
Mr.
the mayor,
Mr.
and
Coward
Mr.
was the one
Coward-
that actually came
Mr.
back to the
Coward
conversations
spoke to
that we
Mr.
had.
O'Connor, so I already handled that, so.
So the
it's-
question is,
we'll
Mr.
wait,
Sackett,
you know?
is can we move forward with something with the Christmas theme?
It's already being
In
done.
addition to what we do that?
We had a meeting about a month ago. Pat Seeger met with the mayor and Mr. O'Connor, was it? Okay. We spoke with the town. We had the leadership. They came in. We decided on a couple things as far as our shared service agreement had expired. We're going to be working together, putting up wreaths. And I'm going to let Ms. Seeger speak a little bit since she was at the meeting.
We had a meeting with the mayor and one of the council president, and
Is it Tom Mulligan?
Tom Mulligan.
Tom Mulligan. Tom Mulligan.
Yeah.
And he came in, and they want to work together. I had reached out to them a couple of months ago before our agreement had expired, and was waiting for them to get back to us. They got back to us. We're working on, with Mr. Coward, their recreation director, and they had a council meeting last week. I'm waiting for an answer from them on what we're doing on Christmas, and we are doing something with Halloween, and I don't want to steal your thunder on explaining what they're doing for Halloween. And Mr. Coward,
And do we have anything for the Jewish holiday as well?
they're supposed to get back to me on what they want to do.
Very good. Anything else, any other old business?
No, just you can tell Mr. Totten, thank you.
President, on this subject,
Yes.
is that collaboration and cooperation also include improvements of the lake? Because our side of the lake and that had come up when we got the Rockaway Borough councilman came and spoke to us last year. Is that done as
We're working on one thing at a time, and,
There's no definitive
yeah.
plans at this time with the
Okay.
dredging issue.
there you go. Thank you. Any other old business? Moving on to new business. Any new business? Seeing none. Moving on to reports. Mr. Kelly?
People in the northern end and Sixth Ward, we have some streets that have been getting paved. They're starting with milling yesterday and paving. There was Sunset Trail, there was Old Lake Road and Oak Lane, and Lake End. There was also Meriden Road, Sunset, and that's it. So just in case people have any idea of changing their routes for traffic, Sunset Trail, unfortunately, is a dead-end road, so I know the town was doing a real good job on it today with milling it and getting ready to pave. You may be seeing a lot of emergency trucks that look like an emergency vehicles, and it's Osmos. And Osmos is subcontracted from JCP&L. And what many people don't realize is that JCP&L is required to check their poles every 12 years, but instead they do them every 10 years. So they up them 2 years of their checks for their poles. So what Osmos is going around, they dig around the base of the pole. There is a treatment process they do to the pole, and then there's some shielding around the bottom of it before they backfill with that and make a reports on that. On the 28th of September, at the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church, we have a food truck festival and a car show. So I just want to make sure that everybody can attend. It would be a real good thing. The trunk or treat that's going on, but that's in the week before Halloween in the borough in Rockaway over at Park Lake. And then one quick thing is that I had a couple of neighbors that sometimes it's difficult when they have large appliances like large TVs If there's, Wharton has a program, Dover has a program, it's a sticker program, where they pay a small fee, and then the town comes up and picks up those devices. Some of them don't have trucks or availability to move them, are very heavy and cumbersome. I don't know if there's a program we can do, or if they need assistance, if there's a way that they can call the DPW to come and bring that, because even going to the storage container, it's difficult to put those devices far in, because it's just, they get so built up, and it's so difficult to gain access to the entrance of that without just throwing it in there. So if there's something that can happen. And then I just want to congratulate Mr. Jackson on your son getting that job in recreation. It was amazing that he had beat out multiple applicants, those with CDLs. So I just want to congratulate you on that for him. That's all I have.
Has he been riced? Has he been riced?
Congratulations. I'm done, Council
Mr.
President.
Quinn?
Turn your microphone off, big mouth. Okay. Some good things. I'd like to thank the mayor and administration for expanding some senior services. We're coming up with some great ideas to expand senior services. We had a boat ride for seniors, and we had a boat ride, and we had breakfast the other day, and it was great. It was well attended, and everybody loves this idea. So thank you very much for expanding it, and we're looking forward to great things coming forward. All right, I attended the planning board. Boy, 19 years I've sat on that board, and then I was off, and now I'm back. Nothing like what it was back then, but you guys are plugging along, and I'm very happy to be back. Dealing with Vehicle Review Committee, we will be putting that committee together once the new budget is ready. We'll get together with administration and the people that deal with that and go over it. The Ordinance Review Committee, I'm looking to put the Ordinance Review Committee together for October 7th, an hour before this meeting. If that's possible, I will reach out to John and administration to see if that's doable, and the committee members, so we can get all on the same page, because I do understand the ordinances have been looked at by an outside company, and I want our committee to be brought up to speed before we move forward with other ordinances. All right, other than that, all's well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Mr. Friedlander?
Couple of things. Just want to thank the Historical Society. This past weekend was the Pathway of History, and we had a lot of visitors from the town, outside the town, even outside the state, and they loved seeing that building. And hopefully we'll get more money to expand to the church across the street. Just want to thank the business administrator for reaching out to DPW for getting some issues with the drainage basins done, and to the police department for starting to put more slow down signs in White Meadow Lake. You'll start seeing them periodically in different sections, and people are starting to slow down, unless they hit them. That's about it.
That's one way of slowing down.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Friedlander. Ms. Noon?
Yes, a couple things. This was my first year volunteering at the senior picnic. I was very, very impressed with the senior picnic. It was a beautiful day. It was well attended. I was very impressed, which I stated in an email. At the senior picnic, Councilman Quinn informed me that someone was complaining about speeding on Perry Street. So I did reach out to administration, and I have to tell you, that Monday there was a police officer sitting on Perry Street. So good job there. Thank you very, very, very much for getting it done quick. The other thing that I am concerned about, and I would like to piggyback off of what Miss Lisa Sahlberg came up and said, Denville's having an issue with rabid raccoons. I think there were about 10 of them. I know the police came out with 2 different notices about warning residents about rabid raccoons. So Denville is a neighboring town, so I am a little bit concerned. I did a little bit of research on raccoons, and they do reside in garages and attics and trees, of course, but they can get into your homes if you have a shed that has a hole in it, or a garage that has a hole in it, or your attic. They can get in there. So I did reach out to Pat, and she did forward something onto the health department. And so if anybody has any concerns, or check your attics, check your sheds, check your garages, and hopefully we don't have any issues with rabid raccoons. Thank you.
Pete will give a report when it's his turn.
Mr. Brooks?
Sorry about that. Couple things. This Sunday, I plan to attend the Faith Family Fellowship Roundup at 9:30, and it's on Mount Pleasant Avenue, and you can dress like a cowboy, and they'll have some smoked brisket and everything else like that, so it'll be quite nice. I also look forward to working with the council as well as the administration on various projects that need to be done throughout the town to beautify ourselves. I also want to thank Ms. Smith for reaching out to me and telling me that she thinks I'm going to do a good job. So I really appreciated that from her as well, since we share the word together. And you know, one of my main concerns, because I do have family members that live in Fox Hills also, so they won't be forgotten. And lastly, I will be speaking with administration about the signs they put up by the Senior Citizens Building. They seem to put them closer to the street, and when you crest to make the turn onto Mount Hope Road, it's a complete disaster. Somebody's going to really get injured. I've already seen about 3 or 4 accidents in the last, short time. So other than that, that's about it. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Patty, sorry, Patty. Ms. Abramson?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say I had a couple of constituents telephone me about the senior picnic, and they were thrilled once again. And the staff did an excellent job from what I've been told. So thank you to everyone that volunteered. Also want to just keep everybody aware that the bears are out and lively right now. They're in my neighborhood, that's for sure. And just please keep your garbage secured if you can, as much as you can. And I also would like to wish everybody a happy Rosh Hashanah coming up this week, and enjoy your holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Jackson?
Yeah, just to echo the comments about the senior picnic, I think it was a great job. The senior pick committee did a great job with the entertainment, the prizes. I think everybody was happy. A lot of people came up and volunteered their time to work, and I think it was appreciated. And that's all I have.
Just a couple things. Also, I wanted to echo, I was at the senior picnic on the 13th, and great job by all the volunteers and the town employees who helped with this event. All our seniors really seemed to enjoy the day. Just like Councilman Kelly had stated, this Saturday, 12 to 4, Holy Trinity Church, 508 Green Pond Road, there's a fall festival and car show. Should be a fun day. Also as well, we're still working out the details, but the Dark Lake Spectacular, Saturday, October 26th. More information to come. Want to congratulate Mr. Brooks on his appointment. And lastly, I just want to wish all who celebrate Hag Kasher Vasameach and Lashana Tova. Happy Rosh Hashanah. Thank you. Let's go to the mayor.
I'll try to be brief, but I just want to update you on a few things that I'm working on, that I have been working on. A few things that I've been working on over the past year. Class 3 specials. Proud to say that we have appointed our first Class 3 special, Scott Haig. He's was out in the schools today. We're on track to appoint 2 more. It's very difficult right now, and I know I've said this in the past, to get applicants. Come October, they're going to be opening up. The legislature has changed the law to allow different groups of law enforcement to join in that effort to be certified to become Class 3 specials. So we're moving forward in that area, and I want to thank the council again. We couldn't have done it if we wouldn't have had the equipment. We wouldn't have been able to move forward if we didn't utilize our QPA, Pat Seeger, and lift that 17,500 bid threshold and utilize her ability to purchase the vehicles as a QPA. The vehicles, we purchased 5 vehicles 5 vehicles for under $40,000. And we expect those to last for a while. Second, I have to give a shout out to Jason Tozzi. Sergeant Tozzi's back there. He did, raise your hand, take some credit. He did a lot of work, and he was constantly sending me emails as to, the progress of things. Very impressed with the efforts that he put forth, and some of the other folks in our police department as well. Second thing that I'm working on, when I became mayor, I try to leverage my relationships with people to benefit the town. And one of the initiatives that it's been in the works for a while, and it's finally up and running. I worked with our police chief. I worked with St. Clair's. Obviously, it's no secret that there's an addiction problem, opioids, as well as other addiction problems throughout Morris County and throughout the country. St. Clair's, I don't know if you're aware of this, has put in place a walk-in program. And I have some flyers here. I just got them sent to the town hall. It's a substance abuse walk-in department. And the reason I was working with St. Clair's is last year when I became mayor, St. Clair's furnishes our ambulance services during the day. So it was a natural fit to go and work with our current healthcare provider who is already giving us services. And I wanted to do something where I could try to give people services that are local, that are nearby, close to home, because people need the support of their family. Family members don't want to drive far distances. It just works better. And St. Clair's has a substance abuse walk-in program that they started, and they're experts in the field. And what happens is someone comes to our town, and I spoke with the chief, someone comes to our police department and they need help. We can contact them directly. We have the ambulance services during the day, which are administered through St. Clair's. If that person can't get there on their own and needs medical assistance, an ambulance can take them directly to the Boonton Township location. It's a separate area where they will be evaluated. They're not just going to be evaluated for their addiction needs. They're going to be evaluated for medical needs, for potential mental illness issues, as well as their addiction. From there, what's going to happen is they're going to be evaluated by physicians. They're going to be evaluated by counselors. And if they need to have inpatient care at St. Clair's, they will stay there. If the professionals feel that they need to go to a different outpatient placement, they will recommend that they go there. It's a wonderful program. Now, here's what sold me on it, and it's not up yet, but it's shortly going to be up. The Dover campus of St. Clair's is going to have a walk-in program as well. St. Clair's is in the process of getting that up and running, working with the state. So now we have our local folks who have issues, whether it be opioids, whether it be alcoholism, whatever addiction issues that may befall somebody, they'll be able to stay in their community, they'll be able to stay local, and will be able to have the support of their family members and friends. And if the professionals that run these programs, the physicians, the counselors, run the programs, feel that the people need out a certain placement, they will be able to recommend that person, whether it be Daytop, whether it be CARES in Rockaway Borough to work with counselors. What'll happen is it'll be a central processing area where it'll be farmed out to the appropriate referral. I have some brochures. If you guys, I'm going to put them out over there if you want to let your family and friends know. If anybody who doesn't know about the program, it's a wonderful program. It's staffed by professionals, physicians, very, very, very comprehensive. The third thing that I'm working on is I have a friend who started a program with the state for children and adults with disabilities. And we had some form of that a few years back with the police department, where if a call is made where an individual has a child or an adult who has autism, is blind, has any sort of disability, it'll be put in the CAD system. So if they get a call for service, the police, if they get a call for service to a particular residence, it'll come up in the CAD when they punch it in the communication center. So the officer that is responding will know that that particular person, that somebody resides in that house, so they'll know how to deal with them. But we're trying to take it one step further, and we're working out We're working out some issues. We have to see if it's compatible, the computer program. What we're going to do is have folks sign up. If they have a child or an adult with special needs, they'll be able to sign up. They'll be able to get an ID, and they'll be able to have that ID for themselves to carry that. It'll be a picture of that person in the CAD system. There's always technical aspects to this, the computer, the IT end of it, so we're trying to work that out right now. But those are some good things that I think we're moving forward with, some things that will enhance our community, the safety, the social services end that are very important. Besides plowing your roads, I think that we owe it to each other to try to take care of each other as best we can. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, real quick?
Sure.
Is there any potential with the Paris programs and the Hope One programs to make any mentions about them that are up and running currently?
Absolutely. This St. Clair's, I actually spoke to them about that. This program is so comprehensive. The Parry program deals with sending folks to, that's why I mentioned Daytop, that deals with young adults, I think under 21, I think. Would I be correct? Okay, under 21. So if someone goes to St. Clair's and St. Clair's feels that that's an appropriate placement, they might send that person to that facility. Folks over 21 I don't think that they're, and don't quote me on this because I'm not an expert on Daytop, but I don't think that they house adults. Okay, they have outpatient. So if they have outpatient, so if you need an inpatient facility for somebody who's under 21, under 19, they may go to Daytop. If it's somebody older than 19, they may have to go to a different inpatient placement. If they need outpatient, counseling, they still may be able to go to Daytop. So it depends on what the needs of the individual are. But my hopes was that when you're speaking about people who have addiction issues, it's not always just the addiction. A lot of people have mental illness that goes along with that needs to be treated. They need to be stabilized before they can really, before that counseling can take hold. If they're ill, it's not going to be, it's not going to work if somebody's not healthy, if somebody's not feeling well. So I wanted to try to promote a program that's going to deal with the whole entire person. And I think that St. Clair's really fits the needs of the community. And they definitely deal with Hope One. They deal with, like I said, they deal with Daytop. They deal with all of the programs that are out there.
I just see that a lot of the towns are grabbing onto that Perry program, and I don't know if that's something we were going to do too, to try to encapsulate that.
It's really not necessary. I don't think, Chief, how many people have we had that have actually, that you know of, have come to our police department?
None that I know of.
Okay. I mean, I don't know the statistics of it, but they can. The Perry program is a referral program. It's somebody comes into the police department, and I think someone from Daytop comes out. I'm not, with Perry, somebody, I'm sorry, Chief. The referral is made to Daytop. This will just be a different referral. This will be dealt with a healthcare professional. They'll go locally. Daytop is in Mendham. Wonderful program. I had a lot of experience with it. I've attended events there when I worked for the sheriff's office. Wonderful, wonderful placement. They do a tremendous job. This program keeps people a little bit closer, keeps them in their own community. So that's why I went with that. But that's not to say that St. Clair's will not refer somebody to Daytop, where the Perry program is run out of.
Thank you. Town Attorney?
Thank you, Council President. Mr. Brooks, welcome. Wish you all the best. Council President, thank you for restoring the report of the Township Attorney to the agenda. I know it was on the agenda at the last meeting, quite frankly, after being muzzled for almost 2 years. I was too shocked to really say anything. So, thank you again. Just a word which you heard Mr. Alardi reference when he had the opportunity to speak publicly. Council President Sackett and Councilman Friedlander asked for the assistance of the Mayor of the Administration in providing me to discuss issues related to short-term rentals with the White Meadow Lake Property Owners Association. The Mayor was happy to provide that assistance, and along with the Council President, Mr. Sackett, and Mr. Friedlander, We went to White Meadow Lake today, met with the Property Owners Association board or interested members of the Property Owners Association, and we're going to take a look at the possibility of constructing a viable ordinance that will hopefully address the issue of short-term rentals, which, as some of the residents persuaded at least me, and I know the council president and Mr. Friedlander, are causing significant problems in the area. So we're moving forward with that, and that's going to be presented once we get a draft to the ordinance committee under the guidance of Mr. Friedlander, the ordinance committee, which probably hasn't operated also for the last 2 years. But let's see, wrestling group, the New World Order. Here we are, and I'm pleased to see it.
Thank you, Town Attorney. Just real quick, before we move on, when I became Council President and Mr. Jackson, Council Vice President, Mr. Jackson had reached out to administration about once a month having department heads and everyone here to give a quick report of what's going on in their departments, so everyone in town knows what's going on, and I appreciate that being able to work together, administration, to see everyone here tonight, so thank you. Moving on to Ms. Seeger.
Okay, I first want to thank the council for approving our ordinances tonight so the staff can get moving on the capital projects for the township. So I'm sure they're very happy when I tell them all tomorrow. The second thing is, I want to say, I don't know if anybody read it, the township, along with the Historical Society and Margaret Hickey and her firm, applied to the State Historical Preservation Grant for Fort Fayche. And I am pleased to say that the committee was so impressed that they have recommended full funding of $348,388 to come to Fort Fayche. That will be recommended to the committee, and they have to approve it down at the state. But it was a very competitive grant, and we were fully recommended for funding. So I'd like to thank the Historical Commission along with Recreation and Engineering who helped with that project. That's all I have.
Just going right down the line. There we go. Ms. Montgomery.
We are well underway working on the 2020 budget. The budget packets will be given to department heads. We're shooting for October 3rd, and they'll be due back to administration and myself October 18th. And then we'll be starting the budget hearings with those departments probably about the first or second week in November, and we'll be moving on about the same track that we were in the past.
Thank you.
Good evening. I just want to mention that today we got notice from the county that they are doing a pre-construction meeting for the replacement of the bridge at Parks Lake. So we're going forward, and so that will be next week, and then after that meeting, we'll have a tentative start date and a duration for the project. So I thank you for your patience, and I look forward to their improvements in that area. Also, I've been working with administration on the bid specs for our municipal parking lot here. So they're in the finalized stages, and hopefully go out to bid this fall, winter with a springtime construction. So again, I thank you in advance for your patience for that project too. And Taylor Street roadway improvements in the Birchwood section.
Thank you.
Just as a reminder to everyone, schools are open, so be cognizant with the sun going down earlier and earlier that a lot of children might be out still playing or bicycle riding. The mayor stole some of my thunder. We have hired our first Class 3 special, who has been fully trained and is currently in the schools. Actually, this evening he was attending the various welcome back programs in the grammar schools. And I'm happy to say that Officer Scott Haig is following the tradition of his father, Ronnie Haig. If some of you older residents recall, his father was a police officer in Rockaway Township for 25 years and was the driving force in introducing the DARE program, our first anti-drug program in the township. And we're happy to say that he's continuing that tradition, hopefully for many more years. We're continuing with the regular patrols of the school buses and the schools themselves. Officers are doing walkthroughs and perimeter checks of all their schools several times throughout the day while the schools are open. And also, as fair warning to everyone, with the school buses, we have details out in unmarked vehicles where if you pass a stopped school bus with lights on, you're going to be stopped. So we have several of those details out with unmarked vehicles. In regards to the upcoming Jewish holidays, we've met with the security committees for both White Meadow Temple and the Shabbat Center. I don't want to get into particulars, but we've discussed increasing the security at both locations for the High Holy Days. We've noticed an increase in frauds, especially targeting seniors throughout the township. To help alleviate that, this evening, our Detective Bureau, along with the Captain Shear, presenting anti-fraud and internet safety program at Fox Hills this evening that should be finishing up about now, just to inform our seniors that with all these various internet and telephone frauds going on, basically the things that they have to be cognizant of when they get these unknown callers calling, asking them for their personal information, asking them about their banking information. And last thing I'd like to mention is this Sunday, September 29th, we're hosting our first bicycle rodeo at Peterson Field, the upper parking lot, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. What we're going to be doing is we're going to have bicycle safety demonstrations, and we're also going to be giving away bicycles to the top winners in the slaloms and the bicycle safety obstacle course. So if you have any children or grandchildren, bring them on out. We'll be there 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Sunday. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Mr. Cabot.
Council President, I can't top free bicycles. I'd first like to address Councilmember Noon's concern about the rabid raccoons in Denville. Just really quickly, it's true that raccoons are the #1 terrestrial spreader of rabies, and it's also true that Denville had a slight uptick in the number of rabid raccoons they observed. I've known Meredith Petrillo, Denville's animal control officer, since the early 90s when we worked together in Randolph. And I know it's common practice that with a couple of additional cases of rabid raccoons to increase the surveillance and to take specimens and deliver them to the Trenton Biological Laboratory, the State Department of Health. So I'm not surprised that they've put out advisories and they've had a number of additional raccoons. That said, we've had no unusual activity here. When Ms. Seeger advised me last night of your concern, I did check quickly just to make sure that the data is pretty consistent year to year, and that includes very recently in Rockaway. But we do remind residents that if they notice any unusual activity with a wild animal like a raccoon, or for that matter with a companion animal that they notice outdoors, just to advise us. And because it is a local and state law to vaccinate all dogs for rabies, that's the best protection against rabid raccoons, et cetera. And it is a local law to vaccinate cats as well. And just to call the Division of Health, call in community services. If anybody notices any unusual activity or thinks there's an animal suspect, we have a full-time animal control officer and we have 2 on-call animal control officers who keep very busy and who are available to follow up on those. But no unusual activity to this point. And I plan by the week's end in posting some advisories on the website, not alerts, but just informational documents for residents just on safe ways to go about interactions and hopefully not interactions with wild animals, especially raccoons. And I don't know if you had any other questions, but I'm happy to address them. Okay. I just had a couple of other things to announce, and they're just events that the public and the governing body probably would be interested in. We do have our annual flu campaign happening in October in this very room, Thursday, October 10th from 4 to 6 p.m. We'll have a clinic, and also Thursday, October 24th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., and also that day, October 24th, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So if residents are interested in a free flu shot, they can just call up the Division of Health or stop in if you're in the building and register. Registration is required. We have a blood chemistry screening that we do semi-annually for cholesterol level, triglycerides, et cetera. Thursday, October 17th from 9 to 10 a.m., and that also requires pre-registration. We have our Fall Clean Communities Cleanup Day, which is happening on Saturday, October 19th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and we're always happy that we get several dozen residents usually that come out and participate. We have free t-shirts. We provide equipment like rakes and shovels, and we also have mini grants available for nonprofit groups for participating in the cleanup and a bunch of other clean community swag. So we encourage residents to give us a call and register to participate. The focus will be on Lake Ames on Snake Hill Road. And if we have a large number of participants, we'll also expand it to other parks in town. Again, October 19th, Saturday, so please give us a call to register. And finally, we have 2 rabies clinics coming up in the near future. Free rabies shots for your pets if they're due. 540 Green Pond Road at the Public Works Garage. The first clinic will be Saturday, November 9th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the second clinic will be Saturday, December 7th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So please bring your dogs and cats, and we will make sure that they get the proper vaccination. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Shear.
Good evening. Just real quick to, as it's already been mentioned, we are well into our paving program. We'll be starting paving, finishing St. Bernard's tomorrow, going into White Meadow Lake, and then heading into the northern area, all the way up Longview, Sunny Hill, or Sunset Terrace and all that. So that is well in the works. We are gearing up, and I also want to thank that the paving that was done in the Birchwood area and the Mount Hope, Coburn, that area, I do want to thank my superintendent out north. He spearheaded a program with the New Jersey Natural Gas Company, which saved the town literally probably well over $100,000. We are starting to gear up for the snow season. We're starting to get all the sanders out and make sure they're all in good working order, as well as all the rest of the trucks. In the water area, we're getting ready to do a significant improvement to the Rockaway Township well field by hopefully going out to bid very shortly to drill our new well, which is a major improvement to the water supply for the township. And in the parks area, the fall sports are out there. Peterson Field, as was mentioned last council meeting, looks awesome for the football, and Dave and his crew is doing their job to keep everything ready for the fall. And then I'll leave it up to them if they want to add to it. Anybody got anything to add?
You guys came, you have nothing to say, you're just sitting back there.
I'll give you a little bit of an update for water and sewer. It's not that dramatic, but so far this year to date, the utility has continued with their leak detection program. It's been going on for a few years. We've located 43 leaking curb boxes and had them repaired, so they're no longer leaking, along with 27 sewer cleanouts that was located along with that were broken. Good news, we don't like to talk about them, but to date, this year we've only had 7 breaks as compared to 21 last year. And the winter that we had the year before significantly lowered, those numbers with the shifting in the grounds. We are going to be starting in the middle of October. We're going to be starting an aggressive hydrant flushing program so that we can isolate and find hydrants that may or may not be working. We're going to start in the condo complexes first, Fox Hills, Greenbrier, Mountain View, and the Point here at Stoneview. That'll be on the township website, and probably Nixel's going out to let people know that if they experience any lower water pressure, it's going to be because we're flushing hydrants, trying to get that water moving through the system, and also find out how many hydrants are working or not working. As Bobby said, we're getting ready to go out to bid shortly for well 10, which is going to be a significant relief to our current well 7 and 7A down at the well field. It's been a long time coming, and hopefully we can get that going up before the end of next year. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Coward, Mr. Knopf, Mr. Swan, Mr. Dyer, anyone back there?
Oh, I want to welcome Councilman Brooks. And if you're ever not feeling well, your brother can fill in for you. No worries. One of the difference. I just want to briefly say that obviously we always have these meetings here. We have open to the public. But I want to stress to the public that we are open every day for business. We're here every day, 8:30 to 4:30, most times after hours. If you have questions, you have concerns, you hear rumors about the town, things aren't going right, just show up, just call, hit 0 if you don't get a live person. we're open for business every day. There's a ton of professionals here who are doing a great job. So I can't stress enough that make an appointment, make a phone call, show up. We're here every day. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to announce Thursday, we tentatively will be paving West Lake Shore first, then moving over to Mountain, White Meadow Road, and Navajo. So just bear with us with the traffic control. Be taking care of the lake first, and then moving on to Meriden Road, probably Monday, looking Monday. The second is with the TVs with elderly people. We do go collect them for them on a per diem basis. Get a phone call, I send a couple guys over to do that. The reason why we don't collect electronics curbside is because, if you could imagine, a cathode ray TV tube, someone goes and smashes them all at night, you're releasing the phosphates, the lead, and the mercury into the environment. So that's why we don't collect curbside. But we do collect it for seniors who do need it. I do have a couple signs that are in the works for the electronics at the recycling centers. I'll just change them up a little bit. They're not made yet. If the containers are full, just place them on the ground and we'll handle it from there.
Is there a way to notify the seniors so they know that there's an opportunity for the town to help them? I mean, I don't know if there's already something that's out currently now on Facebook or an email or...
We can change the website, the recycling website, and change the Recollect app to state that.
Okay.
You know what I can do? I can have us put out a notification. Like, instead of people having to go look on the website, we might be able to send out a notification, like when they're paving a road, and it notifies you.
Right.
And then, do the grapevine mentality, let your neighbors know if you have elderly neighbors.
But would that notification be on there all the time, 24/7, 365?
No.
What's with the app?
Yeah, we'll get some wording on the app.
Just so that they have an idea. I mean, maybe there's a requirement of one to be eligible to receive that service.
Yep.
So that not everybody, but there, again, some of these TVs and the big screen, I mean, there's some things there, and it would be a lot easier for those who get it delivered to put it in their home, have no other way of getting it out.
I had an old TV, it was 222 pounds. It took 3 people to get it out of my house.
Thank you.
Get it to the dump, so.
I got Mr. Coward.
Yeah, it's been covered a couple times, but the trunk or treat is being moved to Park Lake this year. It's going to be a little bit of a different event, and the township and the borough are working together to make that event a bigger and better thing, so that there's more opportunity for kids to trick or treat, and for community vendors and businesses to come out and share their presence. So if anyone does have a local business that would like to have a small booth or table at the Dark Lake event on October 26th, please have them reach out to the Division of Recreation. Just give us a call. We'll have more information on that forthcoming. We're still working it out a little bit because of the conjunctive nature of doing it with the borough, trying to make sure that everyone's on the same page before we put anything out. And then the police bicycle rodeo is coming up this weekend up at Peterson, and for anyone who's interested in coaching over the winter, please keep an eye on the township website. The Division of Recreation will be holding a Rutgers Safety Clinic on October 22nd. It's a certification that Rutgers does through the township, and you have to have it in order to be a coach. So if you're looking to coach in the winter, make sure you get that certification in October. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Swan?
No report at this time.
We saved you for last. You have nothing to add? Thank you. And thank you for all the administration and department heads for coming to me tonight. We appreciate it. Number 18, moving on to closed session, resolution R19-186.
Council President, may I just interrupt for 1 moment?
Okay.
I'm gonna have to sign off now, but before I do, I wanna thank, Al Knott for, being so cooperative and always a pleasure to work with. I've had so many, wonderful compliments about him from our constituents in, the township. I also, before I leave, I just want to say that, I do believe, Council President, this meeting was held in violation of OPMA for continuing the business after excluding Mr. Jednak. The appellate division has recognized phone participation as valid, and I think it's an atrocity. So I have to sign off right now. I will not be able to attend this session.
Patty, I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving back to closed session. R19-186, resolution authorizing executive closed session in accordance with New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-4-6, to discuss proposed health department shared services agreements. Should I read the whole thing? We gotta go on the whole thing, or? Nah. Okay. We're good. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Freelander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
No, you're in violation of 4:6-13.
Next.
Councilmember Brooks?
Abstain.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
President Sackett?
Yes. 5 yeses, 1 abstention, 2 abstention, 1 no, 1 abstention. Motion carries. We'll, should be about 30 minutes or 10 minutes. We'll go into the conference room. someone make a motion? I'd like to make a motion to come out of closed session.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly?
Abstain.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson?
Yes.
Council President Sackett?
Yes, 6 yeses, 1 abstention, motion carries. Mayor?
Okay, I should have mentioned this in the beginning, when we had our moment of silence, and it was an oversight by myself. We recently lost one of our senators, Senator Bucco, who was part of, before the redistricting, he was our legislator in our district. He served as a mayor of Boonton, an alderman in Boonton. He was a freeholder. He had a long length of public service. When he passed, we did put something out. Immediately, I called Ms. Seeger. We had something put out, and we flew our flag at half-staff in honor of him. They are going to have, if you're not aware, they're going to have something at the County College of Morris on October 6th at, excuse me? Okay, thank you, Joe. October 6th at 2 p.m., they're going to, at the Student Center, they're going to have a memorial for him where the public's invited. So I just wanted you guys to continue to keep his family in our prayers. He was a great public servant. He did a lot for our community. So keep his family in our prayers. And if you can attend that service at County College, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All ayes. Any noes? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Next meeting, October 7th.